Well, the big question is what we're all trying to figure out is how do we influence renewals? How do we influence expansions, right? How do we prevent churns? How do we prevent downgrades or downsells or keeping some products and canceling others, right? So when we think about those decisions, what are the things that lead up to those decisions, and how do we know? And in customer success, the whole reason why the whole practice started was that when the software industry shifted from perpetual licensing to subscription, they could no longer get away with shelfware, right? People could no longer just buy the software, stick it on the shelf. Mm-hmm. And that was that. The vendor wasn't paid. They didn't get all their revenue and profit all at one time. It was spread out over time. So the very first thing was that, well, they have to actually use the product to get some value from it, right? So that started customer success to begin with, is let's make sure that this isn't shelfware here. Because if they wake up and say, well, gee, we're not using that, let's just cancel it, you've just lost all that money to acquire that customer, right? So the question, usage is obviously very important. But in addition to that is, so what? How does this actually impact the business? What are the customer's business results? How does it impact not only what users are doing, but how does their process behave? And then how does that flow up to financials? If you can't tell that story, if you don't understand what that relationship is, it's really hard to represent that value back to customers. And you need numbers to do that. But it also tends to be predictive of what decisions they make. Things like usage, things like what particular features, things like, are we achieving our goals? How are we measuring those goals? How are we representing that? Are people engaged? Is there executive turnover? Is there, people look at NPS or CSAT. Sometimes they're predictive, a lot of times they're not. But, and it all varies. The thing to keep in mind is that what works for one company does not necessarily work for another. A lot of times in customer success, people just copy what other people do. And then they're sad because it doesn't produce the same results. Well, your environment's a little different. You have to find your own answers. Some things apply, try them. Other things are not. You got to learn what the difference is.